the irony really is that we need banks, right? We need an entity that can be trusted, regulated, and can be the guardians of our wealth, right? And can provide a service to us that we cannot do on a daily basis. I'm not anti-bank, right? I'm just anti-obfuscation of information, data, and advancement of humankind. Why are we preventing the general public, people, human beings, to be able to do more with less? Banks could just implement the technology over time, right? Be accepting of it, and they could do what they do today faster, cheaper, better. They could increase their profit margins, and everything would be safer. And very few people today are you know what, I'm going to keep all my money in my private wallet and it's just going to be mine. And if I lose my 24 words, then I'm going to lose all my savings. There are very few people that want to do that, right? Yeah. Most people just want to be look, my money is in a bank, preferably maybe a Swiss bank, and it's safe and sound. And I'm willing to pay for that service. That's fine, but just get with the times.
Ahmed, Sheraz, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Very happy to have you with us today. Let's talk a little bit about you. Who is Sheraz? How, when, why? And then we'll get started.
Yeah, fantastic. Cool. So I was born in the UK. At a young age, I moved to Switzerland. I studied abroad after growing up in Montreux. I did 2 years in Lancaster University in the UK, 2 years in Madrid. I found out about the whole crypto world whilst at university there. It's now been 8 years that I've been involved in this space.
8 years?
Yeah, so there's a lot of...
How old are you?
29, yeah. So still under that 30 kind of limit there. So I mean, look, it's been 8 years, lots of ups and downs. I think there's a lot that we're going to be able to talk about today that I'm super excited about. And so, long story short, today very much kind of working on building up the Geneva community when it comes to the whole Web3 world. Web3 being the aggregate of different applications on blockchain technology. And so the whole technology and all the innovation around it for the past 8 years has really been what's been my passion and more or less my life. And so I founded a company that was supporting other companies to be able to get into the space, develop their projects, do different things, called Stone Partners, professional services firm. And then slowly but surely we're okay, there is need for other tools to be able to support companies in getting into the space. So we developed out a financial intermediary called Sky Financial, and now most recently a Decentral House, which is an innovation center for people to come, go to events, work, support them with the whole kind of early stage of the value chain when they just need that idea, and then Stone Partners can help to spark it to life. So long story short, that's where we're at today.
So cool. I've attended some events that you've made with the Decentral House, cool. High quality events. So thank you for organizing all of this. I'm sure it's very hard.
Look, we have some great people within our team that support in allowing everything to happen. Definitely not a one-man show. And I think that was always the premise of what we were trying to build up, was to be able to bring together superstars, be able to provide them with the right frameworks, the right resources, the right support, so that they could do what they loved in an easier and more efficient way. So it's slowly but surely coming to life. There's always a little bit of, let's say, a roller coaster along the way, but it's a fun journey.
It won't be funny. Right.
If
it would be too easy.
If it was too easy, we wouldn't be here today.
You'll get bored, trust me.
Probably, yes.
So, gosh, I have so many questions. Let's begin with Geneva. Why Geneva?
Look, I think Geneva is a really interesting place.
Yeah, it is.
I don't believe there's any other place like it on earth. Even if you look at other cities or even countries that are similar to Switzerland, consider, Singapore, which is often considered the Switzerland of
Yeah.
Asia. You could even look at Dubai to a certain extent. There is the same population at the current point in time. They're highly innovative. They're small. They're a little bit more neutral, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, even with regards to a lot of its, let's say, other environments that could be similar, Switzerland is just so unique. There are crazy statistics where 65% of the mined gold in the world is in between Zug and Zurich. And you're like 65% of all
Kind
the
of
gold
crazy.
mined is in
Yeah.
between that like 15 small minute journey, right? And so I think when it comes to Switzerland, I think the choice was quite straightforward, not only personally for myself, having grown up here, but I think from an international standpoint, Switzerland is the most trusted country in the world. I think hands down, I don't believe anyone can debate that. And then why Geneva over Zug, Zurich, Lugano, and even Neuchâtel, which have been like legacy kind of crypto blockchain hubs within Switzerland. I think it was actually specifically for that reason. I think that, with no offense connotated towards the Zug Zurich ecosystems that I think have done a lot for this space, I think there is this element of, when you look at the startup entrepreneurial world, you consider, you need to, move fast and break things, but at the same time, you need to have this kind of hungry mentality of having a desire to want to go ahead and that stay foolish, stay hungry kind of mentality. And I think, at the time, Zug were very bold, right, in kind of wanting to establish the Ethereum Foundation in Zug and the likes. But today, I think they have so many people come from all over the world to want to kind of be in Zug today that they no longer, in my opinion, have so much of a reason to be kind of daring and bold because they're great where they are. They've eaten. They're no longer so hungry. And I think the ability to build out a landscape or an ecosystem where now we can take from some of those amazing lessons that have been learned in other places around Switzerland and bring that to Geneva, which has such a solid traditional world experience, leverage, and even to some extent power. I think it can combine the both worlds to really make something that can be incredible for the ability to achieve what we consider mass adoption. And I think it's something we can discuss later as well. But I think if you look at the premise of why a lot of individuals are involved in the whole kind of Web3 blockchain world is because they believe that this technology can help a lot of individuals around the world. And doing that means this kind of mass adoption side is super important to being able to achieve success for a lot of people.
But why Zug?
So, I think fundamentally it could have been really anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, but
Isn't it for the tax reason?
I think there is a component of tax, sure, but I don't necessarily believe it was because of that.
Really?
No, I think
Why not Zurich, for example?
I think when there's
Bern.
somewhere that's too big, it's very hard to cut through the noise, right? And I think the most important part when you look at innovation is the ability to listen to the person or listen to the innovation whilst at the same time being able to clear your head to what is known today. I think a lot of parallels have been made to horses as a means of travel back in the day. If you've grown up knowing that, okay, to travel by horse is the fastest and best means of transport for mankind, and then someone's telling you about this kind of car invention thing that's like a bunch of metal taking you from one place to the other, and in your mind you're only thinking about horses, you're never going to even think about a framework that could allow for a car to be on a road, to be able to be somewhere, right? And so I think in smaller places like Switzerland, in even smaller places like Zug, where they're like, you know what, this seems bold, daring, and brave. What is the risk towards it? Well, we're a small place. What is the benefit? Well, it could bring all these new people. This person seems a bit smart. They have an interesting idea. Let's go for it. And I think that was a really great, bold and daring decision that they made.
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody in that room believed Ethereum would become what it is today. But I'm incredibly glad that it did,
Yeah.
because Ethereum became the building blocks really of what the whole Web3 blockchain crypto ecosystem is
Yeah.
today. Even if you look at those co-founders in that room in Zug and working on Ethereum back in the day, those are the ones that today became either the chairman or the CEOs of some of the largest protocols that are, let's say, you could call it competing to Ethereum, or let's say adjacent to Ethereum. But the Polkadots with Gavin Wood, the Charles Hodgkinson with Cardano and the likes. I mean, so much came from Ethereum that we can see today.
I think it's very interesting the point that you're making about finally like the human side of it, because when you're starting something so innovative, you're kind of fragile. It's like at the beginning of it, and you're so afraid to be like, have so many noises around you, especially traditional noises like, oh, you'll never be able to do it. It's like too crazy. It's blah, 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 whatever. I think, yeah, I was sure that people were going to Zug because of the taxes. And this point that you're bringing up, it's very interesting because, yeah, people went there not for like taxes or whatever. They went there because they wanted just like a small place where they can unite, talk like in a calm place, and don't get disturbed by all the noises around them.
And look, let's not take away any credibility
Of
that
course,
that is due
yeah.
or needs to be given to the public authorities that were
Yeah.
there to listen, right?
Of course, yeah.
And that have had a precedent even before the crypto blockchain times to be welcoming to innovation. But I think the ability to have that foresight and be able to see, wow, okay, the crypto world, or let's say the digital realm, the digital economy, can become something. Let's try to not just be stuck in our ways and our horses, but to be able to think, okay, what can be the next means of transport for the future? And they did incredibly well at that.
Yeah, so glad that they did.
Definitely, really, it's great, and I think it's kind of like the ability to say thank you to the master, if you want, right? But at some point, you need to hand over the baton, right? You can't just keep what's happening there, right? If they are to be able to achieve the ultimate objective, it needs to go further and beyond than just tiny little town Zug, and it has, right? I mean, even if you consider what the accolade has been of Zug, the crypto valley. If you look at one of the let's say the representative bodies of the Crypto Valley, which is the Crypto Valley Association, you speak to any of the board members or any of the executive team, they'll all tell you, yeah, the Crypto Valley is the whole of Switzerland. Some will even tell you that it's Switzerland and Liechtenstein and the likes, right? So they really want it to be more encompassing.
So glad they did. And of course, on this curve of evolution, once they've done it and they feel more confident about it, of course, like you want to expand it and go other places like Geneva.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think even before it came to Geneva, right, you look at some of the co-founders or the people that were very active in the Zug ecosystem. They were like, okay, what are even more complementary geographies than Zug? And that was when the kind of whole crypto oasis in Dubai movement started becoming very, very popular, because I think the symbiosis, the yin and yang between Dubai and Zurich is incredible. I mean,
why is that?
So I think the weaknesses that Switzerland has can be very much complemented by the UAE.
Which are?
So visa, human resources from an operational standpoint. There's no way to bring in 100 people to Zurich overnight.
Yeah.
In Dubai, fundamentally, you can, right? If there's a will, there's a way. In Switzerland, there's a lot more bureaucracy. It's much more difficult to be able to do, right? And that's not, I mean, every strength pushed to an extreme becomes a weakness, right? But I don't believe it's a conscious decision, which I think is a good one to make. But it also means that there are other places where you need to distribute your workforce, where you need, if you're you're developing out a blockchain or a project or the likes, you need developers, you need, let's consider, in a fully functioning company, you need 100 people, right? Hiring all that 100 people in Switzerland is going to be very cost intensive. Maybe you also need a certain level of diversity, right? Cultural diversity and the likes. Switzerland definitely has that, but being, having your ears and eyes on the ground in different places like Dubai can really provide a lot there. So Dubai's ecosystem, even before kind of the Geneva one now has kind of started, has really supported in understanding when you go from, let's say, consider it one extreme to another of Zug and Dubai, where is the right middle ground in a way. And it's a similar kind of relationship that we in Geneva with Decentral House and Storm Partners are trying to establish with Paris, for example, because I think Paris will become the powerhouse, the capital of crypto blockchain in Europe. They're doing incredibly well today. However, they need another, let's say, solid base that can help them on a lot of different parts, regulatory and the likes. And I do believe that Switzerland can be a very strong counterparty to France. And if you're in the French ecosystem and you're, let's say, you're Parisian or you're from Lyon, wherever, going to Zurich, you have quite a strong culture clash. Not only language, but it is a bit of a different place. Whereas, in Geneva, it's a bit same but different.
Same but kind of different also. I've talked with a lot of people from there, and when they try to come here, still it's kind of difficult for them. Even if we have like a lot of French people here, but I don't know why. Once they come here, everything is different. We're kind of like in a bubble, in a way. Good one, bad one, I don't know. Bubble anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way of life, and I think an interesting one is that there are a decent amount of people in Geneva. I think when you speak to someone there, a lot of the time they'll complain about some of the lack of social lives, some of the lack of activities, these things, etc. But then for some reason, when you ask them, "Oh, okay, but then why are you here? Why do you like it?" They always kind of like become a bit more skirmish, like, yeah, but it's not that bad. And so I feel like it's one of those elements where we always want to kind of complain about something. There's always something that's going to be a little bit wrong, but at the same time, Geneva has 6 incredibly strong pillars of not only innovation but like global recognition from life sciences with the CERN, the banking, financial, wealth management side of things. It has the luxury watch industry. It has over 20 UN organizations. It has, within that, let's say, context, you have the World Economic Forum as well. You have so much that's happening in honestly a tiny little city, if not considered a village at a global kind of scale. And I think the proximity to those type of people is incredible. I mean, and to a certain extent, the humility of those people as well, right? I mean, if you're trying to meet with a director of the UN or a director of I don't know, a luxury watch brand or whoever in those industries it might be, anywhere else in the world, they will probably have bodyguards, barricades. Like you're not going to be able to access them. But in Switzerland, they're taking the metro with you because that's the easiest, fastest way.
Yeah, you can be sitting next to him without knowing.
Exactly, and I really think that's the beauty of it, because it's kind of like the world is your oyster within Geneva to a certain extent. So.
It's kind of a bubble. We're all taking like the same streets. We're all going to the same places, but people are still in their bubble.
Yeah,
like there's not a lot of mix.
I
don't know why. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, people have spoken a lot about these silos. Unfortunately, it's true that with regards to the innovation center that we created and using blockchain as a technology that has the ability to democratize access, that isn't biased, etc.
Yeah.
We want to reunite a lot of these different players and industries. It's become, I think, it's more difficult to think about how to reunite silos kind of together. Because different people think about different things. They want to advance their careers. So how are they going to do that? They need to speak with people within similar industries to them and the likes.
Yeah, like I feel like people are absorbed by their careers and what they're doing, and they don't have like a lot of time because people work a lot of hours here.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
And I think there's a certain appreciation for what they consider, I think, their work-life balance, right? And you have what you consider golden handcuffs in Switzerland, right? So you have a good salary, you're working your hours, but you're not like pushed. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're not pushed to the survival instinct of, okay, like if I don't go to work today, like if you look at the unemployment statistics of Geneva or let's say Switzerland, they're incredibly low. So people just kind of get a little bit like, well, why should I learn about blockchain or these other technologies, etc. You have the other side of the coin there where people are so kind of chill and relaxed that they're just like, well, I can learn about all these different things. I'm going to have my job, etc. And they kind of move on to that other side of wanting to be more open. And I think you do have those kind of two sides a little bit of the population kind of in Geneva, right? I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why we've been able to speak with so many really, really cool people, and that they've just been like, let's do it. Let's just try something new, because they have so much of that stability either like back home or within their job, etc., that they're looking for something exciting, and if we can provide them with something that is going to allow them to like wake up a little bit early in the morning or kind of go home a little bit later because they can learn about something new and something that's going to help positively change the world. We see it often that they do, like over the past just 2 days, we've had 2 events at Decentral House with over 80 people in each one. That's, I think that's quite incredible for a Wednesday and Thursday. So, we're trying to create a little bit of momentum and a movement of bringing people together. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so that's why I think that all the things that you're doing are so incredible with Decentral House. And I think that's it's such a good mission that you have to just reunite people from all different backgrounds, just to reunite about like the same passion, which is blockchain, crypto, or whatever, and the Web3. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about some of the projects that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So with Storm Partners, originally the goal was to reunite experts under one roof. So lawyers, finance, investor relations, marketeers and the likes, bring them together so that we could provide a turnkey solution to our clients, to, if they had an idea in Web3, that we could help them to enable that and kind of to spark an idea to life.
Whatever the stage. Yes.
Whatever the stage is, yeah. So,
really?
I mean, it could be just from an idea of one person in their basement, or it could be, a large multinational that wanted to be able to find an extra way to be able to, I don't know, create value. And
that's so cool.
And to be able to do that. And that's, I think, what we were able to really achieve over the past 4 years. We brought together people. We have just over 20 team members now. We have some amazing, incredible team members that do an amazing job with our clients and partners. And I think there was an element where now we reached that pivotal point where we're like, okay, where do we go now in terms of our demographic split was very much focused around Web3, but there is startups, scale-ups, and large organizations. Yeah. And I think, having an individual work, 1 hour with a small startup and then the next hour with a large organization like Vodafone, I think the premise of it is quite cool, but in practically, it's a bit more difficult because the needs are very much difficult, even if you're speaking about the same subject. And so for us, we started discussing, it's been kind of 6 months now that we've synthesized the strategy a little bit more, but where can we have the most impact?
Yeah.
And I think that was also the objective, right? It was not just, okay, we want to do a lot of different things and kind of have our heads in the skies. It was very much, okay, what can we do to make an impact? And that ended up becoming, or let's say for the time being it is, to be able to help ecosystems scale, grow, and develop sustainably. And when I mean sustainably, of course, you have the ESG component, but sustainably more in terms of with less ups and downs than you'd face in kind of like normal bearish and bullish market cycles. And so by supporting ecosystems could be considered, protocols like blockchains themselves, or could be exchanges, any form of aggregator of community. If we can support them, actually then by proxy, we're supporting the startups, we're supporting the large organizations, because those protocols, for example, need/want startups, decentralized applications to be built on their technology. But at the same time, they want to achieve more of that mass adoption or that credibility from large organizations building on them. And the same regarding a lot of, let's say, different other fields that we were working on. And so being able to be closer to, let's say, to ecosystems and even that grassroots level, the seed of innovation, being able to support that means that then we can help the wider ecosystem. And it allows us to focus our resources, our mindset on how we can have the most impact there for consequently the most impact outside of it. So that's kind of where we're headed today. And I think the ability to have the tool suite that the Storm Partners ethos has, right, with Sky Financial, Decentral House, and a few other vehicles that we have yet to announce, allows us to be able to support these ecosystems in a very kind of Swiss way, which is the slow and steady way, but provides a lot of trust to them.
So cool. Do you have clients in finance?
We do, for sure. I mean, we've been working a lot with clients that are looking to bridge the whole decentralized finance world, or to a certain extent, allow the world to be a little bit more efficient when it comes to payments. Yeah. When we make international payments and you make it on a Friday, the counterparty doesn't receive it until the Monday, Tuesday after, right? And so having a latency of 3 to 4 days to receive a payment in today's world is still crazy,
In 2024.
Yeah, it's a bit insane, right? I mean, and it's something that we've kind of come to terms with, and honestly, we don't accept a lot of things around us in our community when things happen. There's been a lot of riots around the world for a lot of different reasons, but why do we still give banks our money and allow them to do those things, right? So an interesting and funny fact is that when we speak and we work with a lot of bankers, we try to understand, hey, why wouldn't you just implement this technology? It just allows you to do your job better, and there you go, it's fine. Is that one banker kind of said that they believe that blockchain is going to be the best invention for banks, not necessarily because he believed that banks are going to implement blockchain in the short to midterm, but that it is an innovation that is going to push banks for them to innovate themselves and for them to go the extra mile. And it's kind of that fear of the boogeyman in the closet where they're like, okay, we need to kind of do something here. And I think there will be banks that will adopt blockchain technology. It's already happening with digital currencies. But that was kind of an interesting one, is that the fact that the blockchain industry has made so much noise and created so much kind of havoc for them that they've kind of been like, okay, well, we don't really understand maybe blockchain. Maybe we're not going to use it, but we need to do something now because the community has shown to the world that this kind of side isn't acceptable, and that maybe they've become a little bit too complacent and relaxed, kind of in their nice chairs, and so now they're starting to move, and I think that's incredible. I mean, it's the purpose is just to make the world a better place, more efficient, easier, and just better for all, right? And so, honestly, I don't think that anyone in the blockchain world is really so obsessed with blockchain technology itself. It's very much what's the use case, what can happen from it, etc.
The value that it will bring.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the beauty of the decentralization component, right, where I think today there is a lot of fear within the general public around centralization. And I think, you say decentralization, centralization, those are such big words, right? I was like, well, no, really. But the fact that there's just one person or one entity that controls everything.
It's so risky. When you think about it, it's so freaking risky. Everything is concentrated in one place or with one person. How sometimes I think about it and I say to myself, how did we even survive up until now?
Yeah.
How did we do it?
No, exactly. And honestly, if you look at it from kind of a Western philosophy, it's not even very democratic, right?
Of course.
So it's very interesting to see that we've allowed that to happen. And if we speak a little bit about kind of Bitcoin as kind of the first use case of blockchain technology, a lot of people say, I can't see it, I can't touch it, it doesn't exist, it doesn't have value, right? And I think there's a really kind of big problem, unfortunately, in kind of the education layer of that, because it's not about Bitcoin, but it's about today, the digital world, the digital economy, which is composed of our data, is not visible, but it is the most valuable asset, or one of the most valuable assets that we as people have today. And the fact that over the past 10, 20 years, we've just kind of let go of that, and that because we can't see it here on the table, we're like, oh, okay, it doesn't have any value, it doesn't mean anything, etc. And all of the large organizations today have capitalized on that. I don't know particularly any large organization that has not become who they are today over the past 20 years thanks to data.
No.
I've spoken with so many different directors, executives, etc. If you look at what is driving their the shareholder value, of course you have product-based companies like Nestle and the likes, right? We're talking about water before, right? Evian, of course they're selling that, but their ability to sell more and do more is thanks to the ability that they have to analyze data, consumer trends, etc. And what has the consumer benefited from that? I mean, apart from kind of inflation and higher rates to buy your bowl of water, we've not really benefited from that. And so I would hope, and I think that's an area that we want to really be able to focus on in the coming years, is that it's not about blockchain, it's just about the digital economy, and that you don't have to see something for it to have value.
Yeah.
Data has value, and really if we can start to educate the general public around that, these type of digital things that we can't see, if we can take back control of that a little bit, and I don't say take back control in a way where everyone needs to manage their own money or everyone needs to manage their own social kind of media platform, all these things. No, it's just about, okay, I know that making certain interactions, doing certain things is generating a value for the company, and I want to be a part of that. If I'm generating value for you, there should be a kind of a win-win situation, like in anything, right? I mean, look back to the days of barter, right? If I'm giving you, an apple, I expect a pear or something else in return, right? And so I think that's just the fundamental part of why people within the blockchain space are so passionate about what they're doing, is because the technology, by its design, has trust at its core through decentralization, transparency, and immutability, and can give back power to the people.
You were talking about data. What's funny, yesterday I was at an event, and I've talked with the person who works in the data with a big bank. And she asked me, what do you do? And I said, I have a podcast that talk with people from finance and Web3. And she was like, what is Web3? I've never heard of this word. I was like, no, crypto, blockchain and everything. And she was like, oh, we're not even allowed to talk about this in our bank.
Wow.
They don't want us, even to make to research it or do whatever, and she works in data. And I was like, but have you seen like the data that you're working with about your clients? Don't you see like a kind of some tendencies, like they want something due to Web3 or whatever? She was like, yeah, but they don't want to like talk about this stuff, and they don't want us to acknowledge it or whatever.
Isn't that like,
I was like,
the obfuscation of information is terrible, right? Like it's like your mom and dad when you're younger didn't want you to find out about something. It's like, what is so bad about this thing, And I think often it's been when someone's trying to hide something for you, it's not normally for the best of reasons, right?
And it makes you more curious about it.
Of course, and for me the irony really is that we need banks, right? We need an entity that can be trusted, regulated, and can be the guardians of our wealth, right? And can provide a service to us that we cannot do on a daily basis. I'm not anti-bank, right? I'm just anti-obfuscation of information, data, and advancement of like humankind. Like, why are we preventing the general public, people, human beings, to be able to do more with less? Like, banks could just implement the technology over time, right? Be accepting of it, and they could do what they do today, faster, cheaper, better. They could increase their profit margins, and everything would be safer. And very few people today are like, you know what, I'm going to keep all my money in my private wallet and it's just going to be mine. And if I lose my 24 words, then I'm going to lose all my savings. There are very few people that want to do that, right? Yeah. Most people just want to be like, look, my money is in a bank, preferably maybe a Swiss bank, and it's safe and sound. And I'm willing to pay for that service. That's fine, but just get with the times.
Do we still have time?
Do we still have time? I guess it depends on what front you're talking. I think we always have time. I think we will always have time because...
Does the Swiss financial market has time?
Does the Swiss financial market have time? Yes.
Really?
Yeah, look, I believe they're making the strides in the right direction. We're speaking with tens of different banks and trying to support them, uniting them together. We're launching an initiative where we're going to just do a roundtable series and a few roundtable series with blockchain for banks by banks. And it's usually just going to be a bunch of bankers in the room talking about blockchain. They can only talk about blockchain for an hour. See how the conversation goes. But I think they do have time, thanks to also the financial regulator, thanks to the environment which they're in, where Switzerland has put in place a lot of frameworks to enable banks to be able to do that better. Even if you look at it from one of the largest kind of institutions, which is the Swiss stock market, right? SIX. Over the past couple of years, they brought out SDX, which is the Swiss Digital Assets Exchange, and they are pushing those things more. And you have more and more entities that are doing it. Now, does that mean that all banks are going to survive? No, but does that mean that anything is going to survive forever? Neither. That's the case, right? With moving times, there's always going to be winners and losers. There will be stubborn banks and stubborn people that are not going to make it through the next kind of technological leap. And that's why we have entrepreneurs, right? It's like people are like, okay, we can do better, we know more, let's go. And then be kind of bold, brave, and a bit naive to do that. And so, there's going to be winners and losers. There are some significant banks that are making great strides, and we're trying to work with them to kind of support them. And we're also trying to help those that haven't seen maybe the light yet.
Yeah.
We have one that are willing and want to, I think, will kind of carry on. And those that are not, maybe they'll find other ways, and maybe they'll have other types of clientele that prefer to have, bricks of gold stored in the bank, and that's fine with them. So yeah, let's see what the future is.
That's so interesting. Do you have in mind maybe some future trends that you're seeing that maybe you could involve for finance, like traditional finance and Web3?
Yeah, with regards to finance, I think a lot is changing within the world. I think especially if you look at kind of the whole currency debate today around what are the reserves of some central bank kind of currencies or something like currencies around the world, US dollar and the likes, and that you have the coming of central bank digital currencies, and like, okay, blockchain-based digital currencies, what does that mean from a transparency perspective? What does that also mean from a reserves perspective? How can that support the ability to make payments or not? But also support in the population having a better idea of where the money is going, where the funds are, etc. And I think that is definitely a future trend where people want to be a bit more aware of kind of what's going on. And that has a dual-edged sword, with social media today, where you believe you're more informed because there's more information.
Yeah.
Actually, the more information that's coming out, there's more disinformation.
Buried in information.
And I think blockchain as a technology is a great one at being able to show kind of, let's say, the real information from the non. And so I think that's definitely like a big trend that we're going to be seeing is virtual currencies, digital currencies, and kind of CBDCs and kind of like one bucket. Because with the world becoming more digitalized, a recent statistic is that globally we spend 1 hour a day connected to the internet globally, right? And these are places where there's around like 1 million, 2 million people around, 1 million, 2 billion people around the world that don't have constant access to internet. And so if you even take in a mean, an average perspective, then 2 within the 7 hours. So we're spending 7 hours. So let's say, we're all sleeping a good 8 hours a day, right?
Of course, everybody's sleeping 8 hours. Of course. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Look, that leaves us 16. Let's say 2 hours a day we're eating, all right? So 14 hours a day is kind of our waking activity. 7 hours, that's half the day. So half of our day we're connected to the internet, right? And so
personal connection or professional or both?
Both, yeah, it's kind of a both situation, right? But we're connected to the internet, doing things on the internet. So if 50% of our active time is on the internet, and time is our most valuable resource, why wouldn't the digital world, digital economy, have an equal value to the physical world that we're in? Now, I think it's a bit of a kind of a misplaced question, because of course, we live and breathe physically, our health, etc., right? But towards that kind of like the goal of kind of at least thinking, is that the digital trends or the future trends of tomorrow are going to be around the digital world.
Yeah.
And that's why it's interesting, when people are like, the metaverse well, I think the definition of what the metaverse in your eyes is today is not, but what is considered the metaverse, which is just, let's say, a digital universe, a digital economy, it will be, because it is today. You already are in the metaverse. You just are not walking digital trends, but you are there. You're spending at least half of your time within that realm. So there's a bit of like, we're in this kind of interesting limbo, where people are just cannot connect that. And I do believe the younger generations see that much more. Like, they understand much more the digital landscape because they've grown up in it. We didn't necessarily grow up having like electronics around 24/7, and so we're kind of like, well, how could this be a part of me? I'm sure that in the next, 10, 20 years, we will have electronics as a part of us. Like, if you look at that kind of
sooner.
Sooner, yeah. And so then when it is a part of us, we can't deny it, right? And so, and interestingly enough, I consider myself as kind of more, let's say, digitally advanced, that we're going to try to kind of stay in tune with these things. Having electronics in like robotics in me is very scary. I'm like, no, I would never do that. So particularly myself as an example, very like that, and I'm trying to be a bit more like digitally savvy. If I think about people that are 10, 20 years older than me, even 40 years older than me, actually they won't try and scared of where we are today. They might not understand it, and I think that's okay, right? You just need to kind of go with the times, and I think as you kind of mentioned, do we have enough time? Well, some people don't, others do, and the world is always going to be evolving, right?
Yep.
The world will continue to spin, hopefully, and so I think there's those different generations that are holding the baton a little bit more, right, and just need to kind of bring things further in a certain direction, good or bad. We don't know, right? We're following our instincts. What we do is making our lives better, more efficient, etc. But the digital age is really just that. That is also the beauty of a wider term where we can all define what we believe that digital universe or future is going to be like, and we can all work together to do that. For me, as being kind of more of like a blockchain kind of focused person, the metaverse for me is an aggregate of decentralized applications that allow a digital economy to run. And so, for example, you have the whole DeFi, decentralized finance world. You have the whole NFT side of things. You have CBDCs. You have DAOs, etc. So each application has a function, from governance to payments to non-fungibility, etc. And all of those components together with a certain, let's say, virtual reality can really allow for a digital economy to be put in place, because they emulate what is in place today in the traditional world. And I think that will really unlock the full potential of the metaverse, where you'll move from what is like a virtual reality, where it's just, a Sims or Roblox, towards an ability to really thrive, live, and create in the virtual landscape.
Yeah, Shiraz, it's so interesting. Thank you very much for being with us. It's such a pleasure to have you, and I'm so happy to have different experts like you and all the other guests that I have who come and share their knowledge and their vision of the field, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you. Can you maybe give us the future projects that you're doing?
Yeah, happy to give you a little bit of context there. So I mean, for me, there's a macro and a micro, right? So the macro for me has always been to bring my energy and passion to wherever I am. And I believe that, as we've discussed throughout the kind of conversation here, Geneva has so much potential. And I think some of it is a little bit underground, or maybe it lacks a little bit of a spark. And I would love to be able to change the energy of Geneva in a way whereby people feel like they can express themselves more, that they can maybe break free from those golden handcuffs and be who they truly want to be. And blockchain is a small component to that, but I think there's so much that we can do to just liberate people a little bit more and allow them to really be free. And so I think that's definitely one that I am going to focus on. I don't know if it's for my whole life, but definitely for a decent amount of time, as long as it takes for Geneva to break down the silos. And some initiatives that we're putting forward to do that is we're setting up a corporate innovation sandbox, the ability for large organizations within, the banking, luxury, impact sphere to be able to come together, all of them together, to be able to innovate using blockchain tools that are, not necessarily always at their disposal, so they can come in, do what they do best, innovate, play around in this sandbox. We called it Lightning Box as a little bit of a kind of play on the dynamic kind of environment that the Web3 blockchain world has. And so I think that's going to be a really cool initiative because it will be a first one about breaking the silos because we're bringing those people together. And so it's an initiative I'm really excited for, to bring together the innovators and the integrators under one roof to achieve some amazing things. So super exciting couple of months to come there. And yeah, all in all, let's see where things go. I would definitely like to put forward that it's not I or our company that is going to define the future. We're going to provide one building block, hopefully, to advancing, be it, humankind, or be it kind of the Geneva ecosystem, let's see. But hopefully we can encourage others to want to put that building block as well and, make the world a better place. So exciting times to come. We're really, passionate, curious, putting our energy into it. So very much open to have conversations with any one of your kind of like listeners, if they're inspired or just want to kind of, reach out and do some cool and amazing stuff. We at Storm Partners and within Decentral House are always open to chatting and seeing how we can make a difference.
Guys, you've heard him, so just go and reach out. That's so cool and such a human goal. I really like it. And I wish you the best of luck for it. I'm sure that you'll go as far as you can.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And I hope that you'll come back.
Yes, with pleasure.
To talk about the evolution of your company and your project. And I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Sheraz.
Exciting.
And
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yes, take care.
Bye.